All right, today we're taking a trip to a pretty amazing place, the Kingdom of Fractions. It's this magical land built entirely, and I mean entirely, out of numbers. So let's dive in and explore this world together.
So, get ready for a real adventure. We're going to meet some royalty, explore enchanted forests, and maybe even outsmart a wizard or two, all while figuring out the secrets behind fractions. The only real question is, are you ready to jump in? Every great kingdom has its rulers, right? Well, the Kingdom of Fractions is no different. So let's get to know the powerful figures who are in charge of every single part of this land.
Okay, first things first, we've got to understand the number one law of this land. A fraction, it's just a part of a whole. That's it. Think of it like one slice of a pizza or one piece of a giant puzzle. This one single idea is what holds the entire kingdom together.
And here they are. Meet Prince Numerator. He's the one who always sits on top. He's the guy who tells us how many parts we're talking about. And right below him is the very important Duke Denominator. His job is to tell us how many equal parts the whole thing was cut into to begin with. These two, they rule every single fraction in the land.
Now that we've met the royals, it's time to tag along on an adventure. Let's follow the prince and the duke as they wander into the mystical fraction forest, where all sorts of different numbers literally grow on trees. The very first thing they find is this perfectly sliced fruit that represents what's called a proper fraction. And the rule here is super simple. The top number, our prince numerator, has to be smaller than the bottom number, duke denominator. So in this case, we have 2 out of 5 total slices. Simple enough, right?
And Prince Numerator himself says it best. He knows that in a proper fraction, his place is to be the smaller value. It's this rule that keeps everything peaceful and orderly for this type of fraction.
But then, things get a little wilder. They stumble upon a giant's house. And this giant, well, he has an appetite that kind of breaks the rules. This is how they discover the improper fraction, where Prince Numerator is actually bigger than Duke Denominator.
Just look at this! The pizza was cut into 4 slices. That's our denominator. But the giant ate 7 slices? How on earth is that possible? Well, he must have eaten more than one whole pizza, right? And that gives us our improper fraction, 7/4. This whole situation leads us to another way to write the exact same amount. An improper fraction can also be shown as a mixed number. It's really just a way of combining the whole things you have with the fractional parts that are left over.
So that giant 7/4 of a pizza is exactly the same as one whole pizza and 3/4 of another one. See how that works? 7/4 and 1 3/4 are just 2 different ways of saying the exact same thing. Same value, just a different outfit.
Okay, so our hero's next big challenge is this magical bridge, and it's guarded by a wise old wizard. And it's here that they're going to learn that fractions can be absolute masters of disguise. The secret to getting across this bridge is all about understanding equivalent fractions. These are fractions that look totally different. I mean, different numerators, different denominators, but secretly they represent the exact same value. To cross, they have to step on the right stones. The path is made of fractions, like 1/2, 2/4, and 3/6. They all look different, but they're all equivalent. Every single one of them represents exactly half of a whole. Figuring that out is the only way to get to the other side. Once they're on the other side, they meet the wizard, Simplifo the Great. His special brand of magic is finding a fraction's true identity by boiling it down to its simplest form. This just means making the numbers as small as they can possibly be without changing what the fraction is worth. Let's watch his magic in action. He takes the fraction 6/8. He sees that both of those numbers can be divided by 2. So he divides the numerator by 2, which gives him 3, and he divides the denominator by 2, which gives him 4. And just like that, the simplest form of 6/8 is 3/4. No more common factors, just its purest self. All right, for their final challenge, the prince and duke have to use everything, and I mean everything, they've learned so far to compare these towering mountains and unlock a hidden treasure. This is where their knowledge really gets put to the test. First, they see 2 mountains that represent like fractions. This just means they both have the same denominator, in this case, 8. And because they share a denominator, comparing them is going to be incredibly easy. See, when the denominators are the same, all you have to do is look at the numerators to see which one's bigger.
Since 5 is obviously greater than 3, the mountain representing 5/8 is clearly taller than the one for 3/8. It's really that simple.
But what if the denominators are different? To solve that puzzle, they visit the denominator doc. The rule here is to find a common denominator. Basically, you change one or both of the fractions so they share the same bottom number. That way, you can make a fair comparison. It's kind of like making sure both boats are using the same size sail.
At last, the treasure chest. But of course, there's a riddle. It asks them to find 2/3 of 12 coins. Here's how they figure it out. First, you divide the total number of coins, 12, by the denominator, 3. That gives you 4. Then, you multiply that result by the numerator, which is 2. And 4 times 2 is 8. The treasure is 8 golden coins.
Wow, our heroes have officially mastered every corner of their kingdom. Before we go, a magical scroll appears to recap all the powerful lessons they learned on their journey.
Let's do a real quick review of our trip. We started with the basics of what a fraction even is, and we met the numerator and denominator. Then we explored proper, improper, and mixed numbers. We learned all about equivalent fractions, how to find the simplest form, and how to use a common denominator. What a ride! We've explored the fundamental laws of this incredible magical land together, but the world of numbers, well, it's vast, and it is full of new adventures. So, the real question is, what part of this world are you going to set out to explore and conquer on your own?